Welcome to the second ever episode of the
Gut Game
podcast. I'm Dan.
I'm Cameron. And it's second episode, episode 1.
Sponsored by Random Daily Erections. For all of your erection needs, they'll just come up whenever. You're wearing gym shorts in gym class? Too bad. They're going to see.
It's the right thing at the wrong time.
Yeah, so the agenda today, Steam bummer sale. It's actually horrible. A little bit about us, a little bit about the hosts, a little bit of gaming history with us, and then we're gonna dive into some of our favorite games, some special games to us, just important games for our gaming education, or maybe just standout games.
Yeah, our favorite games, our best games, and why. Kind of a meme.
Yeah, get to know us a little bit before we dive into the spicier memes in the channel.
Yeah, so let's just kick it off with the summer sale.
Oh, I actually took some notes. I'm a diligent podcaster.
Oh wow.
I didn't find many things I actually liked on the summer sale. So I personally picked up Alpha Protocol, Hotline Miami, Vanquish, and Darkwood. It cost me about $21-ish. It was like $20.69 or something. It was about $20.
Darkwood's probably a good purchase.
I haven't played Darkwood yet. Out of all the other games, I've played Hotline Miami. Controls much better than on PS4.
Oh, absolutely.
I bought Hotline Miami on PS4.
It is awful on console.
It is terrible on console.
Is it on Switch yet?
It might be. I don't know.
I have my Switch.
I
could check the store.
Don't. It's terrible on console. It doesn't control well at all.
No.
You need it's just a game you need mouse and keyboard.
It's because you need precision. You don't have precision with a controller.
Yeah, it's just don't do it. But it was $2.50. It was $2.50.
Yeah, but the games I picked up were also Alpha Protocol, and I just today bought a Behemoth pack that had Castle Crashers and Pit People, and I'm pleased with that. I think I spent a total of like $16-17 on sale for both of those. I really just want to Pit People. It's a good fucking game.
It's actually really good. Yeah, I sat here with you and I've watched it. It has pretty good music. Really love the animation, the art style, and what was it, Stamper. Goofy voice actor.
Yeah.
My only really recommended purchases for the sale for anybody that's listening who hasn't picked anything up. It ends July 4th, I think.
July 5th.
July 5th. Alpha Protocol. It's $1.50 now. So here's the elevator pitch. It's cheesy. It's like James Bond meets Metal Gear meets a lot of garbage cheese, but with the dialogue of. It's more akin to Mass Effect, but it has the depth of Fallout and the faction system of Fallout, and the reputation system of Fallout. Now the combat and gameplay are shite ass. Yeah. They're not that good. But if you could stick it out, you have a really, in my opinion, a really great story. I've played through it once. I'm replaying it currently. I'm just about to finish it for the second time. I'm very satisfied. For $1.50, dude, come on. That's a steal.
I have only finished the tutorial, and it's not terrible. It's just it's super. I want to try it with a controller instead, just because the movement's really sticky on PC. I mean, aiming obviously is better, but aiming doesn't matter because you have to hold down all your shots.
It's built like an RPG.
Yeah.
You can't play it like a straightforward stealth game, or else you'll miss all your shots. So you need to wait to line it up, and it's based in accordance with your skills. So if you level up your pistol skill, then your pistols will take shorter and shorter amounts of time for you to aim and shoot.
I do like the level up system. Level up system's really in depth in that game.
Yeah, and it's one of the level up systems that actually changed the mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
Actually heavily do that, and I love that in games. But I still, if you stick it out, when the game works, when the gameplay actually, the combat gameplay works, it just works. And it works really well, because it feels satisfying to get some of the kills.
Well, yeah, because that's the thing is, I went through each of the tutorial zones, at least for shooting and gadgets. I went through them twice, and the first time I got shitty time, shitty score, and then the second time I played it once, the mechanics work. They work really well. When you learn how to use them, when you know how to use, they work really well. But it's a little archaic. You said it came out 2010?
It came out, it was...
It feels way older than that. The way
It does.
the
It feels
gameplay
like PS2 game.
It does. It's really sticky. It's really slow and sluggish, which is deliberate, I'm sure, because it's an RPG. It's not a Call of Duty. It's not any sort of other.
It's a really rare game. It's something that we'll probably never see again because it was. I think it might have been a commercial failure.
I don't ever. Yeah. That's.
It got mediocre
I firmly
scores.
Believe it. Well, that's because it was an RPG and people want to play a shooter as a shooter, not as an RPG.
Yeah.
But also,
it was mismarketed
it was
for sure.
Published by Sega, and a lot of things they publish don't do well. Not necessarily things they make, but things they publish don't do well. I'm sure that the schedule is rushed at some point because Obsidian schedules are always rushed.
Yeah.
Because they're like, hey, fuck you, you make good games, you should just make them faster.
Well, they make good games and they have a lot of cool ideas, but then they try to put too much into it, and they really care about the character, or the player. And it's the game understands like player agency and choice because your choices actually matter. I like
that
games.
That is one thing I wish, because at least in those one tutorials that I'm in, dialogue options go way too fast because I'm trying to hear and see, and by like the time that they're done saying what they're saying, you're out of time to answer.
It is a little bit it's a little bit daunting.
Let's see if I can't mod that to give me more time. But
maybe turn down the difficulty because again the combat's garbage. You don't play Alpha Protocol for the combat. It's written by Chris Avellone. Godly man. It's made by Obsidian, people who actually care about gamers. I really liked it. The elevator pitch is really interesting. I watched a couple of videos before I purchased it because I remember the old like G4 review for it when G4 used to exist, and I think Adam Sessler reviewed it, and I think he reviewed it pretty positively. And I remember that, and I guess it just stuck with me because I was like, I remember this game. And
yeah, I had never heard of it. Heard of it.
It came out.
I'm a fan of Obsidian. Well, I'm a recent fan of Obsidian games, I should say.
Dude, I've played Obsidian games, and I remember because I've only really recently started to do brand loyalty with games because I'm like, oh, if this company does X, I shouldn't buy from them.
Like EA.
Yeah. I was.
I'm sorry. I ruined
you ruined it. You ruined.
Stupid.
No. But Ubisoft's actually one that I have brand loyalty to. Nintendo is one that I trust. Bethesda has lost a lot of credibility.
Really?
It has lost. Yeah,
from Skyrim on, I'm assuming.
Skyrim, and Fallout 4.
Infinite
they're
Quest.
not the reason why they lost credibility from me. It's because they it's because they don't make games for me anymore. They don't care about me. They care about the mass appeal.
Yeah.
Because Obsidian, and that's why I've shifted over towards a lot of Obsidian. And I'm willing to give them money at everything. It's because Bethesda they don't care about gamers like us. They care about gamers who are easily entertained.
The whales.
By the whales, dude, Fallout 76, I'm very scared about.
To an extent, they care, because they don't do a lot of microtransactions. Well, Bethesda's now doing a lot of microtransactions.
Yeah,
but
well, they saw how Fallout Shelter worked, and
yeah.
they made a lot of money off of it, because it was a decently designed game. It was actually pretty fun.
Yeah, it was.
But it had a lot of room for microtransactions, and I'm sure a lot of people paid into that, and they made a lot of money.
I did. I bought a couple of things.
Oh, you did? Yeah. I never did.
Did
you buy a Mr. Handy or something?
Yeah, I bought a Mr. And like every mobile game I play, I end up giving a little bit of money to. Just because it's how it's supposed to work, and your brain is like, yeah, I want that, so it's only $2. Why not?
Yeah.
And then you never play that game again. And
it's only $2.
That's like half a meal at McDonald's. You're like, wow, well, now I'm broke.
Dude, it's a full meal. That dollar menu, dude. I'm on that college grind. You think I have money for the Big Mac? No, I have money for a McChicken, fam. Yeah, so Alpha Protocol, give it a try. At most, you're missing like a little less than 2 Polar Pops. That was my thing for Cameron. I was like, dude, you're missing barely any money from this. It's interesting to say the least. And even if you don't like it, I would suggest doing your own independent research because of course that could definitely.
It's $1.58 if you buy it on sale, and even then, I think if you don't buy it on sale, it's still really cheap. But again, hey, in 2 weeks you don't like it, return it.
Yeah, and if you play less than an hour of it, again, the gameplay not that great. I'll admit it, but when it works, because like if you do like a stealth build, you get really overpowered stuff that in the late game, because you can already read the perk ability. So I guess it's a light spoiler. But you can like go invisible and stuff, and you can like sneak around. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it, and it's very clever.
Is it Is it set up to do a non-lethal? Because I'd love to do that.
So non-lethal really only counts. So like there are certain operations where you're going into like civilian areas, and you'll get a little heads up. You're like, hey, don't kill anybody. So you'll switch to like non-lethal round, or if you're that kind of player. Some players won't. Maybe they'll just go and butcher people. But yeah, so it is set up in a fashion that you can do that. But I mean that's really second playthrough on. I mean you don't have to do like a whole non-lethal. You can do a whole entire non-lethal because you don't even need to kill the bosses, because you fight the boss and then you basically have an option to execute them. And I mean God, dude, that's I actually really the more and more I've thought about it, it's like Until Dawn for me. It's like I keep thinking about it and it just keeps getting better and better.
Right, the way I think about it and the way I even just from it feels like a Western MGS. Is what it genuinely feels like.
It does. And it's made by RPG developers. It's like you can't... And there's a lot of cheese. I will admit that. There's a lot of cheese. There's some bad writing in there. I won't say all of the writing is genius, but certain writing in there, it's like... The emails. Don't skimp out on the emails. Read all the emails. The flavor text is good.
If I can learn how to do the goddamn hacking minigame, I'll read all the emails.
The hacking... Okay, I will admit that. The one hacking minigame does hurt your eyes. Because there's a lot of moving text, and you have to find, like, the stuff that isn't moving. And it can be very jarring for beginning players. But I'm on my second playthrough. Level up your one skill. I think it's, like, a sabotage skill, where it helps you deal with that. Okay. It'll make it way easier. Because the late game locks, they'll get, like... Because you know how it's, like, 8 characters, and it's, like, a 16 by 16 grid? They'll become, like, 3 characters. And 4 characters, yeah, they'll become really hard.
That sounds...
And here's the kicker: the timer gets faster, so it levels up. Like the things move a lot quicker, and then you have a shorter amount of time, so it gets really stressful. But it's still
how often
still really
are those
fun.
Necessary?
All the necessary ones in the game are 8 characters long.
Okay.
So because I think Obsidian knew, they were like, yeah, this is kind of a dog shit mechanic. It's not even a bad minigame. I really like it. It hurts your eyes. It hurts your brain. But yeah, all the mandatory ones that I've encountered were always like 7, 8 characters long. They were never... If they were short, then I usually bypass them. My first playthrough, because I was like you, I was like, I hate this minigame. It's my least favorite minigame. But on my second playthrough, I've gotten more and more. And you get a lot of information from it and stuff, and I like learning about the world.
Right.
And there's a couple of typos and a couple of line deliveries that I've noticed that are just like, yeah, it probably doesn't belong. But for the most part, what you're paying for, you're paying, like I said, $1.50. Really unique game. You're literally never. I'm convinced you will never see another game like this ever again.
Probably not.
Fully voiced with actual player choice that matters. You're just not like, and it's so unique. Like I said, it's an espionage RPG, which I only know of one, which is Alpha Protocol, right. And there are some factions that literally make no sense to me, that I've even read into, and I'm like, your intentions are nonsense. But still, I mean, it's supposed to. There's a little bit of camp, and the camp is sometimes the camp can be really funny, other times the camp is really garbage, and I wouldn't recommend it at all. But and I will admit, I've gotten really frustrated at certain gameplay segments because the vision cones aren't always... Because you can always tell, usually where the NPC's vision cone is. But sometimes it's just not accurate at where it is at all. So they'll be like looking one way, but they'll spot you. The AI isn't really that good. Right. There are certain things that are downsides to it. But overall, the experience as a whole, I keep thinking back on, and I'm really happy with my purchase. I'm really happy with my first playthrough, and I'm playing it over again. And in a different way, and I'm doing different things, and it feels good because my choices matter, and that's always something really that if you stick around, you'll find out that I love in a game. But that's my first recommendation. I'll breeze through a couple other of these. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. If you haven't played it, it's $5. It's a great game, but you need to mod it. If you don't mod it, then it's basically unplayable in certain sections. The game was rushed, but it was made by the same people who basically made Fallout, and the same people who made Alpha Protocol, and the same people who made New Vegas, Fallout 1, Fallout 2.
Games, right?
It was the third and final game of Troika because it sold horribly.
because Activision rushed it.
It rushed it, and then it would release like the same week as like MGS3. I think Halo 2 or something. It released alongside. Oh no, it was Half-Life 2, and I think another game that also came out. But it was rushed alongside it, and it was supposed to meet because they were using the Source engine, which is actually surprisingly a great engine to make RPGs from. But they were using the Source engine, and I think their contract with Valve made it to where they needed to be out at the same time as Half-Life 2. I'm not entirely sure. There's a lot of murky water around it, and if you do your own digging, you could probably find a lot better answers than I can provide. But yeah, it's a classic in every sense of the word. Just go get it if you don't have it. Mod it, play it. If you like New Vegas, it's like New Vegas, but vampires and like the LA night scene. I watched a video by a guy named Ragnarox, which I love. I think it's a love letter to
big love to Ragnar.
Yeah, I love that guy. Friends with him on Steam.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
But I watched a video from him, and that because I had always known it was a classic, but I didn't really know a whole lot about it. And he goes into in-depth, but he doesn't spoil a whole lot unless you really like if you listen to like one part of the video, because I went back and rewatched it and I was like, he kind of spoils something there. But he overall he does a really good job on why it's a great game and why it's a classic, why whenever you mention it somebody reinstalls it.
The curse of the game.
Yeah. Another one, Fallout New Vegas / Fallout New Vegas Ultimate Edition. The regular is $3.29, which is already a steal
for that great of a goddamn game.
Yeah, we'll get into it later.
Another Obsidian masterpiece.
Absolute masterpiece. They made it in a year and a half, and it was just a labor of love. It's still buggy. If you get it, you basically need to play NVAC. I didn't realize the PC version is the most buggy version.
Oh, absolutely.
And I didn't realize that until I started playing it on PC. I
think it's like the files aren't compiled.
I don't know.
Like they're
but,
not.
Dude, it is. In certain places, it's downright broken. I mean, I've had people like actual plot essential characters to certain quests
Not spawn in.
just not spawn in.
Jesus.
I'm doing the Gamora quest. Kachino hasn't spawned in.
Oh no.
Kachino, like, yeah. So it's a great game.
Console commands.
Very buggy. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find out his code. I've been console commanding a little bit, but overall I've been doing it straight. That's because I was gonna speed run it, and then I was like, nah, I'm actually not gonna speed run it.
It's too good of a game. Gotta enjoy it.
Because every time I'll get into it later. Because I gotta save some opinions for favorite games. My next recommendation is Hotline Miami. It's $2.49. Get it for the soundtrack alone.
Yeah.
I mean, possibly the best soundtrack in all of gaming. Quite possibly. I mean, it's up there for me with like Shovel Knight. The Persona series has great soundtracks.
A lot of good jazz in those.
There's a couple other games I just can't think of right now that have just
Pit
great.
People had an amazing soundtrack.
Pit People had a very good soundtrack. Behemoth games just in general have really good soundtracks.
Even Castle Crashers, if I'm remembering right. It's been a while since I've played it.
The Soul series, especially Dark Souls and Demon Souls, have very good single tracks, like boss tracks.
Yeah.
Like the Gwyn theme is.
That's the only music.
Great.
They don't have like ambient music or anything while you're exploring. You exclusively have boss tracks.
The Oblivion theme by Jeremy Soule. I think it's the Ode to Life. That's whenever I hear that, it's just chills. I love that theme. And another one, Last of Us. Very, very great soundtrack.
Good iconic music.
Like, you hear that and it's just immediate. You're like, okay, that's the Last
connection
of Us.
there.
Yeah. Metro Redux bundle, $10.18.
That's always a good.
I mean, I'll get into it later. Again, I'm sorry, because it is, spoiler alert, one of my favorite games of all time. But it's a steal, dude. It's two great games that run really well. Like they run. They're some of the most
well optimized.
They're up
games.
there with like CD Projekt with how well it runs. I mean, it ran because it was. Even on the PS4, it just runs so. Oh God, dude, it's so great. If you don't own it, you have to get the bundle. Don't buy them individually. First off, you'll save money if you buy the bundle. Second off, they're just they're companion pieces. You can't play one without playing the other. Like, you just need to play them both sequentially, and you're just
and they're phenomenal games. And
they are.
Exodus is gonna make a fantastic trilogy out of out of the group.
I don't think they can mess it up. I've seen everything everything that I've seen around it, and all the things I've heard the developers say, because they're not like Sean Murray, and they're not like fucking Todd Howard. They're not gonna bullshit me. So it's like you're on a train, and you're like with like 5 buddies who like you actually get to know throughout the game, and I'm really hyped about that because they had some decent writing. I remember that was like the first time I was ever exposed to the ideas of communism. Like the actual, because it was did you play both of them?
I've yet to play Last Light.
It might have been Last Light, but one of your companions is fighting for the communist faction. I think it is in Last Light. I won't spoil the surprise, but it's a really cool moment where he explains his ideology. I mean, it's not good because you're like, well, communism's nonsense and it gets more people killed. But I like what they did. Another Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt Game of the Year edition, $19.99.
Oh, that's amazing. That's a good steal.
It's literally the same price as the base game. So if you don't own the base game, you might as well pick it up here. If you're looking at it at all, great deal. I never got into it personally, but I know it's a great game. I really do. It's just, for me, it's just there's too much to do. There's literally too much for me to do, and it's designed in a way that just it plops you in a world, and you just go and you do stuff. And I need a little bit more direction. I'm gonna play it all one day. I've put a solid like 16 to 20 hours into it. It's just every time I pick it up, I do so much. I don't really advance the plot. I just go from like question mark to question mark, and I get burnt out really quick. And I shouldn't do that. I should go from like
quest to quest.
To quest. But I just didn't, and I don't know. It's not a bad game. It's a really great game. It's I don't know. I love The Witcher 2. I don't know. I didn't look at how much The Witcher 2 costed, but that's also probably a steal. CD Projekt sells them for real cheap. If it's anything below $5, I'd definitely suggest getting The Witcher 2 as well.
So one thing that makes this a bummer sale, Factorio is still not on sale.
Factorio's $30. I feel like shit for not buying it when it was $20. Dude, that thing's never gonna go on sale.
Never.
Is it even out of early access?
I don't fucking think so.
Dude, like, they did a price hike, which I'm pretty sure it's only developed by like one dude, but like, still, like, man, I want to buy your game. It costs too much right now.
That feels like a Dan and Cam game. That feels like a...
That is a Dan and Cam game, dude.
That feels like many hours spent late at night, multiplayer. That sounds like a good meme there.
It would be a really fun game, but it still hasn't seen a price cut, so I'll wait. I'm willing to wait. I've waited years to play games just for a goddamn price hike or price cut. My next recommendation, I'm almost over with them. Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. It's only $10. Don't necessarily need to get the complete edition. I love Ground Zeroes personally, but I know it's a massive disappointment to a lot of people. So just go for the Phantom Pain. The gameplay, it's the gameplay peak of the series. It really is. It's phenomenally. The gameplay, although there is a dominant strategy that you can find out if you invest in the certain things, then you can get to a dominant strategy. I always like to switch up my tactics because you can do anything. Do anything. It sounded like Todd Howard here.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but like it's designed really, really well for a lot of player freedom and a lot of player choice.
And as vacant as it is, if you can get in the multiplayer, it's actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, the multiplayer is really good, but it's barren.
Yeah.
My next is Vanquish, which is $6.79. I personally picked this up. It is a platinum game that is a shooter. And it has a really shitty B-movie plot that's full of cheese and garbage.
I'm gonna look this
but
up.
I absolutely... You know it if you saw it. But it has goofy main characters, and it's good. The gameplay is phenomenal. It's a platinum game. It's all about momentum and going fast, and it's better than Sonic in that aspect, in my opinion. You have to zoom around and shoot people, and it's really, it's good.
I have no idea what this is.
It's,
Is it
dude,
like
you'll.
Quake?
It's pretty short, but it's no. You like it's a
I mean,
third-person
the
shooter.
game-
You
okay.
zoom around, like you have these like rocket engines. I played it a long time ago on the
It's
Xbox.
like single player Quake.
A little bit, but
That's what Quake is.
Not-
You zoom around and you have boosters and
no. But it's like it controls different. You can't jump. Yeah, I don't think you can jump.
that's dumb.
But it's pretty good. It's
Our dynamic movement system. You can't jump.
And then my final recommendation is Batman Arkham City. It's $4.99. It's the best of the entire bunch.
And those are those all the ones you picked up or just ones you recommend?
Those are just ones I've recommended because I looked at the sale. It sucks because they don't do. They used to have really back in the ye old days. They used to have amazing sales.
Well, they used to do daily daily.
They used to actually do daily sales. Instead, they just do daily highlights now.
Yeah.
And that's just dumb.
They used to do like daily sales where it'd be like 80% off of.
But the trade-off is
whatever
you have
game.
fire sales now and the midweek madness and shit. So you get better sales along the year, but you don't don't get them in the Steam summer sale and winter
less
sale.
of a miracle every summer.
Yeah, it's becoming less and less of a miracle because the games they're going on sale and some of them have hit like really shallow lows.
Oh yeah.
And you can pick them up for like Alpha
Oh,
Protocol,
okay,
$1.50,
I have one recommendation, which is Human Resource Machine, and let me look at the publisher because I don't want to be a dumbass about this.
So people who made Little Inferno.
Yeah, it's people who made Little Inferno and World of Goo.
World of Goo. Great game. 10 out of 10 game.
I guess 2D Boy? Is that what it is? I think? Yeah. Whatever. Human Resource Machine. It's on sale for 25% off, and it just released like a week ago.
Yeah.
Great game. From what I've seen, I need to get it. I need to play it. But they make great games. It's just get it. Just buy it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I don't know if it's a Dan game, not gonna lie, but it looks good enough to where I could probably I'd feel safe recommending it.
If it's too pricey now, they'll drop in price. They always do.
Yeah. They're very
the
niche games, though.
Yeah, but the people, because they're all puzzle games, but the people that
Yeah.
make them, I can't imagine they care about profits. They make a game that they want to make, and they do it well.
Yeah.
Give them your money. They deserve your money.
Yeah. So the Steam Summer Sale this year, like we said, just a bummer. There are good deals to be had. I'm sure if you dug around a little bit more.
If there's something on your wish list, it's probably on sale for 20 to 50% off. And
yeah. I actually watched a video on it, and there was a guy, I don't know what his channel name was, but he was like, yeah, I don't feel ashamed to pick up like a $35 game if it's on sale for like only 20, because if you invest more money in it, you're more compelled to play it. And he was talking about how a lot of people only have games that they just never touch. I am guilty as charged. I have 160 games. I think I've only played 40, which is not good. I'd like to up that statistic. I'm going to go through and play them all one day. I also buy a lot of Humble Bundles for like one game, and then I just don't give a shit about the rest of the games.
I have a lot of games that have never been installed on any computer I own.
Yeah, and now that they've come out with the updates of you can see when you installed it, you can see how much you've paid for games. Yeah, if you're not going to play a game, don't buy it. That's my best advice. I've gone through years as a PC gamer now that has put a lot of money into games. You got to think about it. We don't even own these games. Steam's own these games. If Steam crashes, it's going to be like the 1933 crash. I have nothing else to live for. I'm going to jump off a skyscraper. You know when like the stock market crash, all the stock guys just killed themselves. They're like, oh, fuck it. I have nothing else to live for. All my profits are in the goddamn stock market, and it just plummeted.
And so they did.
Yeah, that's basically what's going to happen to me. It's if GOG or try to put a lot of money into GOG as well, but less so because they have better sales on certain games. CD Projekt games, of course.
They have better base prices on games. Steam keeps prices hiked up high.
Yeah, but they have certain indie games will cost less on GOG, so you want to price match. Their summer sale came out. It came out a couple of weeks ago, so no recommendations there. Yeah. I picked up a couple of games, spent about $5 on 5 games, so I feel content with that. I've only played 3 of which, although one of which is a sequel, so I don't feel too bad. But yeah, those are my recommendations. Buyer beware. It's like I said, it's just a different Steam now. It's since we have the midweek madness and stuff, you just gotta have to look out for sales in your week time and stuff. Just always go on r/games. There's always like every week or two. There's always like a free game that you can find on r/games. Or game deals rather. Sorry, r/game deals. Great subreddit. Probably the only one I visit.
If you're trying to grind those summer sale trading cards, though, play the Saliens. You gotta play the Saliens game.
0 out of 10. It is the worst game I've ever played. It lacked to shit on my computer because I think my Wi-Fi went out when I was playing. I don't know. So my Wi-Fi is garbage, so it just decided to crap out. So yeah.
Is CS:GO on sale?
CS:GO is. I think it's $7.50 though. I don't know if I could recommend that.
Oh, get ready for a new wave of Smurfs. They don't have to pay $10 anymore, so they can buy their third account with CS:GO.
Dude, Smurfs are actually cancerous. I hate those people with a burning passion. But yeah, I wish I had a better segue. So let's get into our gaming history because get to know us a little. If you want to, I've talked a lot.
Yeah, well, that's kind of how these things go.
Yeah,
that's precedents we set. So I don't know where to start.
How did your gaming start? Where did you first start to game?
So I've been playing games probably since I formed memories. Like we've always had a gaming console in the house. You know, my earliest memories are playing NES and SNES games with my uncle. He weird story. He's half blind because he got shot in the head, and he's half blind, so like he can see. Like he was able to play games, so that's what he preoccupied his time with because he couldn't do much out of the house. Yeah. So he preoccupied his time with games, and so one game I really remember playing with it. Well, 2 games I really remember playing with him is Super Mario 64 on the N64 and Earthbound, and we never got far in either game. We just kind of dicked around because I was a kid and I was probably. Did
he have the reins or?
I usually had the controller. He would watch or he would pick up and play. He played a lot of Mario 64, but never got far in either game. But it set like a warm spot for Earthbound in my tummy, and so. Then years went by, and I we had a PS1. I played some random PS1 games, none that ever stuck out of my memory. And then I remember PS2, same kind of thing. And then, God, I think it was not until until I got a PS3, I never really played a lot of games. We got Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I played a lot of that. Played so much of that. Too much, probably. And that was 2012-ish, something like that. And then 2013 is when I got The Last of Us for the PS3, and that changed my whole opinion on games. Like, games to me were always just like a goofy hobby that like I wasted time on, and I played it and I was like, oh shit, wait, games can have cool stories and dynamic characters and things I care about and morals and all this other shit that like I see in books and movies that I like a lot. Because I'm more of a film file and stuff like that. Like I care more about movies and stuff. But I was like, oh shit. So you're telling me video games are an actual art medium? And I started taking that way more serious after playing Last of Us, and I played. Just from then on, I've played every fucking game I can possibly play. And that's about the same time that I found it, because at that time I was also getting more on the internet and stuff like that. We actually got a good internet provider, and I was able to go on YouTube more. And that's when I found out what the fuck Earthbound was called. Yeah. And I was like, oh, everybody loves this game. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I'm part of a community. And then I was like, I wonder if I can buy it. I was like, oh, I don't have $2,000 to buy this game.
Just get the ROM, man. Yeah, I think I actually have the ROM on my Pi.
I have it on my Wii U. I bought it. Digital on my Wii U, so I fucking love playing that. But yeah. But that's kind of my history with everything past 2013 is just kind of like, yeah, I'm more in the gamosphere of things. And I guess one other major thing, which I'll also talk about later, is playing New Vegas. I didn't play New Vegas till probably 2015. when Fallout 4 was coming out, I guess. Or no, I
Yeah.
guess it was 2014 then, because it was a year before Fallout 4 came out. I really got into New Vegas, and New Vegas is what made me take not just the medium seriously, but the entire industry, because I learned what brands were with games. I learned what publishers were, and like that game
Learn
brought
about
me,
games time and
Yeah.
game design.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, there's so much to be observed here, and to be like, I was taken away. Like it was fun. It was a good time, and I don't know. That's about it for me.
Yeah. I grew up. I think there was a time before that I didn't have a game system, but I did. I started off with the 6th generation, so I started off with an original Xbox, and it was a great goddamn console. I love. Everybody hates the original controller for the Xbox.
The Duke.
The big bulky you could bash someone's brains in with controller.
Oh, sorry. My bad. The Duke is the second controller.
Yeah, and everybody hated it, but I have so much nostalgia for that controller. I love that controller. I love the game system. I have the blueprints of it. Or not the blueprints. The
right over there.
yeah, it's a great system. Very great system. Had a lot of classics on it that I bought none of. No, I bought a couple. So my gaming education started with like I had a SpongeBob Metroidvania game. Yeah. Battle for Bikini Bottom was essentially a Metroidvania. I mean, it was pretty close. You'd get upgrades, you'd like go collect shit, you'd come back, you'd go to other hubs. It was a great game. I think THQ Nordic might have been, or THQ. Great
One of the
game.
ones that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, and I also had other greats like the Haunted Mansion video game, which is actually surprisingly well designed. It's a third-person shooter using a lantern, and it horrified me. I showed you the pictures. There was these screaming ghost creatures that would just destroy you, and it was T for teen, and my parents let me play it. I played like Grab by the Ghoulies, which is a rare game that probably 2% of people know of, and it's actually pretty cool. I played on demo discs. I played games like Psychonauts and Voodoo Vince, and I loved those games. Even though I haven't really played a whole lot of them since. But if you know the good old days of the demo discs, they gave you a lot of stuff. Is
Voodoo Vince made by the same people? Is that Double Fine?
I don't think so, but it was just they're so unique and they're really awesome. But I played a bunch of other games. I had like Peter Jackson's King Kong. I had Metal Arms, which Metal Arms was an awesome game. Had a lot of Star Wars games. Had Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, which are essentials. But my gaming education really began when my dad let me play Halo 1 with him. And that game just blew everything else like out of the water. That game was fucking awesome.
So your Halo 1 is My Last of Us?
A little bit, yeah. But it's like, because, I mean, I've associated now, it's nostalgic because I played it with my dad. It's actually just a great game in general. It's one of the best first-person shooters of all time. I will stand by that. I will stand by Halo 1 and Halo 2. I prefer Halo 1 personally. But Halo 1, 2, and 3, all great games. Played a lot of those. And then played some other games. My dad had a lot of Rainbow Six games, so I played not the classics, but like the age where they were like shifting kind of gears. They became a little bit more actiony, but you still died in one shot. So I played like I
remember Rainbow Six Vegas being one of your favorite games.
Rainbow Six Vegas 2.
That's right.
I'll get to later. That's a very special game. But I played a lot of Halo Combat Evolved. Played a lot of Halo 2 with my family. Played a lot of games on that system. And then we also got an Xbox 360, which was amazing. We got Halo 3, which is another great shooter. The first 3 Halos, beyond that, the series is dead to me. Halo 4, garbage game. Well, I guess Halo Reach and Halo ODST are grandfathered in. I'll let them be good Halo games because they're actually really good. But that's the start of it. And then I got like a PS3, and I got a 3DS, and a PSP, and a DS, not in the same order. basically in the order of release. I did snap a DS in half once. I got very angry at another SpongeBob game. Had big anger issues when I was a kid, and I put a kibosh to that because I couldn't get past one of the levels. But I have good memories of that. And I also played greats like Fable 1 and Morrowind. Well, Morrowind later on in life, but yeah. So my gaming education really, because I always I'd play games a lot as a pastime. The Lego games, Lego Star Wars, great goddamn game. Also for reference, me and Cameron, I'm 18, he's 19, so we don't have. But before that, we don't. I played a lot of emulators and stuff, so I've played like the classics.
Right.
I like to know the roots. You gotta find out where your roots. And Tetris, still a titillating game. Still a very great game.
Timeless, if you will.
Very timeless game. Same goes for other greats like Super Mario Bros. 3, which is objectively better than 1. And far better than 2, and I don't believe you if you say Mario World is better. Super Mario World, compared to Super Mario 3, Super Mario 3 just wins every time. It's great. It's absolutely great. But I played some of the greats. I played like Fallout 1 and 2, because I love those. It's very hard going back to it, but I'm giving them a good, honest college try, because I really want to love these games, because I love the writing in it. It's just the gameplay is eh. It's very hard to go back to because I didn't grow up with like the games that are like that. But yeah, so I played that and we got the PS3 and now I have a PS4, PC, 3DS, etc. I have a Switch as well.
Yeah, I have pretty much every game console now.
Yeah, and I'll go into more of my history with my favorite games because there are certain moments in time that the games sort of capture.
Oh yeah, same for me.
But like before I really got I guess I wasn't, but I've been watching like E3 seriously for years now. Like I mean, like I remember I'd constantly look up like Game of the Years and stuff. Even when G4 was still a thing,
right.
Which I still love G4. I remember watching Cheat, which that show was I have a lot of memories of games and games industry stuff, and I've been watching YouTube for gaming for years now. Like so I've been into games for a very long time, and I've always respected the medium, but I'm sort of similar with you, where I didn't really start wanting to learn about game design and stuff on New Vegas, but New Vegas also happened at a different time for me because I got it at roughly close to launch. So I'd beg my mom for it because I was like what 10. Because it came out in 2010. Yeah. I was about 11.
I thought it came out in 2011.
No, it came out in 2010.
Okay. Oh, but the Ultimate Edition, the one that...
I think that one came out in 2012 because I did finish up all the DLCs. So I guess I'll get into my favorite games from this. Yeah. So New Vegas is my favorite game of all time.
That's mine as well.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
It's both of ours.
Pretty much for a
the
lot
same
of the same
reasons.
reasons.
Yeah, the writing, the world, the characters. The gameplay's not half bad. I always like to term it serviceable. Really fits because it's not great. It's not Fallout 4 shooting, which Fallout 4's shooting is actually really good. It's not Doom shooting, but it gets the job done.
Yeah. It's the type of game that doesn't matter. Like it's not.
Yeah, the gameplay does not matter.
It's an RPG. It's all about the story. Yeah. It's all about other mechanics in the game, which other mechanics aren't necessarily that great. Yeah. But it's mostly about the story, and the story's fucking good. Man.
The story is one of the best in gaming. I love all of the characters. I don't think there's a single poorly written character in there. I think I'll stand by that. You might point to maybe the guy who won the lottery at Nipton.
Oh, dude.
That fucking guy. There's a couple that are, but all of their choices, all of their characters make a lot of just sense, and it's just so goddamn good.
One thing I've come to love about it so much is that through every random event or every disjointed thing, it doesn't matter. It builds this world that all feels like it connects together. Like there's nothing that or I should say there's very little in New Vegas that ever feels out of place.
Oh no, it's so cohesive.
Yeah.
It's so goddamn unique. Because the world of Fallout is a special place. And the first time I played it, I actually didn't like it because I didn't understand a lot of the mechanics. I didn't understand.
That was the exact same.
I got my fucking ass kicked a lot. I got to the end of the game with Yes Man, but I was dumb and I blew up the Securitrons because I was like, oh, clearly if I don't blow up the Securitrons, Caesar will be mad, which he's not. If you spoiler alert. If you don't do that, then it's actually fine. He's like, I heard rumbling under the ground, so I assume you did a good job. So yeah, don't blow up the Securitrons. But I leveled my character improperly. I didn't understand a lot of the stats. I mean, I had 100 in the survival skill. I wasn't playing survival mode. There's no reason for me to have 100 in that skill. But by the end of my first playthrough, I got my ass kicked by Legate Lanius because I had no ammo. I had nothing to face him. I didn't have high enough speech to talk him down. I didn't have high enough barter to talk him down. And I got my ass kicked by trying to do the Yes Man ending because it was supposedly the easiest one. And I did not like it. And then I picked it up a year later. And I replayed it, and I did a lot of faction stuff, and I did a lot of cool quests. And because for the longest time, Western RPGs didn't click with me. I never explored. I never tried a whole lot. I just did the story because the story was what was presented to you. Because I played it like a linear game when it's not. And there were a lot of cool quests on the way, but there's a lot of cool stuff I missed out on. So I played it, and
I don't think I've still found everything, and I don't think I've ever done 100% playthrough. There's still locations
I've done 100% playthrough once, and this goddamn save corrupted. I finished everything in the game. I was about to do the Battle of Hoover Dam, but I was like, first I'm gonna do some DLC, and I saved in a weird point. So before you go into Zion Canyon, and for some reason it just corrupted my save file, and I did not play the game for another year and a half. I was livid. Oh, yeah. I was like, dude, because
that's when you picked it up on PC and started playing.
Yeah, because I like doing Caesar runs. I like doing. I don't think I've ever done a whole NCR run because I don't find their faction particularly interesting. That's what I actually typically
do. I actually do the NCR. I don't know. I like the idea of the group that's trying to bring back the old America.
I love Yes Man and I love Mr. House and I love the faction heads. So when I said earlier in the podcast I was going to do a speed run, but I can't. Whenever I meet one of the faction heads, like Caesar or Mr. House, I'm compelled to exhaust all of their dialogue because it's so well written. Like when you confront Caesar, Caesar in the game, he's hyped up to be this brute, this barbarian, this savage. And then you meet him, and he actually makes logical points on why the Wasteland should be the way he runs it. And it's just so jarring, and it's so interesting, and the characters are so nuanced, and it's learning all the different things that went on, and before you got there, and after, God, it's just, like I said, cohesive.
And one thing I truly love about New Vegas is the absurdity of the story itself. You're just a mailman who got capped in the head, and then you finish a war. That's the Cliff Notes version of how it goes.
It's so good though.
You're just a mailman, and then you're a war hero for whatever side you choose, and I love it for that, man. That's Fallout. That's Fallout.
It is Fallout, and it's Fallout to me, and that's why I didn't like Fallout 4, because I made a Charisma 10 build for my first playthrough of Fallout 4, and if you know anything about Fallout 4, you know I just made a fucking terrible decision.
Hey, you probably made a lot of money.
No, I made dog shit. I went out into the Wasteland and got my shit kicked in, because it actually is sort of leveled. It's not the world is leveled sort of like Morrowind. Yeah.
Things progress with you.
And I got my ass kicked, and I didn't build anything, and I just wanted to do the story, and the story was dog shit. And then I played it again a year later, very similar to Fallout New Vegas, and then I just fell in love with the mechanics. I loved building, I loved killing. It was fun, but it's not Fallout New Vegas. It is not, and that ties back to the thing I said earlier. Bethesda is simply not making games for us anymore because, of course, Obsidian made Fallout New Vegas, but Bethesda is making games that are meant to appeal to everyone.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you dumb down a lot of things.
And they're not inherently bad games. I think at this point I have more hours in Fallout 4 than I do Fallout New Vegas, but that's just because there's more mechanically to do. I really enjoy the building mechanics.
Yeah.
I love to hop in, loot as much stuff as I can, try and build stuff. Probably toggle God mode when I run out of resources, but
yeah, of course. I mean, that's every once in a while you'll just do that. Yeah. I'm going to see how much carnage I can do.
Right.
And yeah, mechanically, it is much deeper. The shooting feels good, and the building feels good, and the core gameplay loop, I was talking to you about this earlier, of questing, killing, looting, building, that's genius. That's actually really cool, but it's not cool for a Fallout game.
Yeah.
Because that's not what Fallout was. Fallout was an RPG, and it's no longer an RPG. It's a shooting game. It's more akin to a first-person shooter than it is to what Fallout used to be and what Fallout, in my mind, is. And that's why Bethesda's lost a lot of credibility from me. But yeah, New Vegas, great game. And actually, I guess it was kind of a lie that I didn't like the game when I first played it, because I loved the game. I loved the wacky characters. I just hated how... I just didn't understand it, basically. I didn't understand a lot of... Because, like, I loved the Come Fly With Me quest. That's a genius fucking quest. And I loved, like, all the kooky characters and Boone and all the deep, mature themes that the game goes through. And, you know, sometimes it deals with it with humor, but a lot of times it just deals with just plain-faced, and it's so good. Like, if you... God, it's just... So the whole game's themes... and I'm not going to get too in-depth about it, because I could honestly talk about the game for hours, and I have. Me and Cameron have talked about this game for a very, very, very long time. The whole game's theme is about the past. Should you forgive it? Should you forget it? Should you do something with it, or should it just be left alone?
Which is perfectly wrapped up and surmised in Lonesome Road.
Yes.
Like that is.
It's a great bookend.
That one drives it in, but yeah, perfect bookend and like.
Dude, everything. If you look at it, so like, I'm gonna light spoilers.
Old World Blues, which is what Old World Blues is about.
Yeah, Old World Blues. Dead Money. It's about the gold that was there. It still is, but I mean, it's about a failing ideology from the ex guy who ran the Brotherhood.
Even Honest Hearts.
Honest Hearts is forgive it. Can you forgive the sins of the past? And it's genius. And even every single character is exactly that. Boone. Goddamn, I don't want to spoil it, but I'm going to, because I love this game. You've had 8 goddamn years. You've had near the better part of a decade to play it. Boone. He has PTSD. What does he do with it? If you fuck him up, he goes back to the NCR and kills his officer who ordered that attack and then kills himself. And it's insane. It's insanity. And like, Arcade Gannon is like, should you go to... should he redo the Enclave? Was the Enclave a failed experiment? Was it a good thing? He still loves the Enclave. He grew up as an Enclave member, but should it even be brought back? Caesar's Legion goes all the way back to Rome. Should we forget that idea? Democracy. What about the NCR? Should we move forward? I mean, look at what Democracy did. If you listen to Mr. House, he's like, democracy is what led to the Great War, and it's just so goddamn genius. Every single facet of the game ties back to the overarching plot, which is, what about the past? Can the past... Just anything to deal with the past, and it's very genius. Every single companion, no bullshit, every single companion does that. Rex, his brain, the past, like literally the past. He settles, his ending card is he settles with his new memories. Lily, should she take more of her meds and lose all of her memories, or should she cut back and still be psychotic? Cassidy, Rose, should she forgive the Crimson Caravan? Should she kill the Crimson Caravan for what they did, or should she take them to court? I always have them take them to court.
And Veronica's the most dull character.
Veronica's an awesome character. And she is also similar. Should she go back to the past? Should she go back to the past in the ways of the Brotherhood? Even though they're archaic and they're actually dying because of their ideology, which is rooted in the past. Why should they even continue on? Or should she join the followers? And Raoul is stuck in the past because he hasn't built himself a better future. He can become like this awesome fucking like gunslinger that's a legend in the West, or he can just be a lonesome mechanic. Well, it's not lonesome. It's more of a humble work, but yeah, every single thing in that game, it's like I said, cohesive in the themes, in the gameplay design, in the player choice and agency. Everything matters in that game. Except for one choice, which you can actually choose to do terrorist attacks on the Strip. If you do, if you turn in Kachino, the guy who didn't fucking spawn in my game, to the Omertas, you can actually like chlorine bomb the strip, but it's never mentioned because they didn't have enough time, and they also figured it not many players picked that. But they thought through a good series to watch on that would be the Jay Sawyer mod done by Many a True Nerd. He goes into all the details that these guys thought about because players they respect at Obsidian they respect your intelligence. You can go through and look through it.
As much as you said they're making games for us, they're not. They're making games for them. They're making the games and the worlds that they want to play in, that they want to be in and experience, and that's fucking rad. Like that's like that's how I would make a game. I would build a world. I would be like, what do I want to do? What do I want to be able to do in whatever I've created? And I know, what do you know? It's what everyone else wants to do. It makes a good game. Who'd have thought?
Yeah, it's just so. I could go on for, like I said, I could go on for hours and hours and hours, but I'm gonna just put my cap on it here. It is what I've wanted from a game, and I've only felt it from one other game that I've played so far. And I'll get into it later, but because I'll let Cameron take it off with his list.
Yeah. So since we had the same one that we both kind of.
Yeah,
we shared feelings.
It's just,
Dan can explain feelings about that much more eloquently. I'm going to go and say probably the second best or favorite or most important game is, or one I've already talked about, so I'll talk about it lightly here, is Last of Us. So I had a PS3, so I played PS3 exclusives. And this was actually like the first game I got ever hyped for, I would say. Other than maybe, I don't know, when did Watch Dogs come out?
Oh God, you pre-ordered Watch Dogs. I forgot.
That was a bad idea. But Last of Us was like the first game I got hyped for because I think I read it in Game Informer that they were basing the zombies off of the cordyceps fungus, which was something I'd learned about a while ago, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. They're like real life zombies.
Yeah,
and
it's
then,
logical.
And then the thing came out and they were like, I was like, whoa, they're making zombies out of cordyceps. I was like, that's the idea I had. That's crazy. And the game, like, I love the characters in that game, and the story is great. I like the road trip across a dilapidated.
It's another logical full circle game.
Yeah.
And it's the characters make sense, the narrative makes sense.
The tragic ending is gorgeous.
And that's why I don't want to play the sequel, man. It's just
like it's surmised. It was finished. You understood that the world's still fucked. You know, but it doesn't matter because like
they have each other.
Yeah,
and that's the story, and it's so good. And you haven't played. I need to let you borrow The Last of Us Remastered. You haven't played it in 60 FPS.
No,
and it feels so much better because I know you want to do a replay. You gotta. It's one of your favorite games of all time. It's just so good. It's much better in 60 FPS though.
But like I said, that is the game that I played, and I was like, whoa. There's way more to games than, because to that point, like I said before, like really the only game I played, like sunk a lot of time into was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and probably Black Ops at that point. I think Black Ops had released.
We used to play a lot of Black Ops.
And so I was like, whoa, there's way more than, you know, and even Black Ops had an interesting story, but it wasn't too in depth. Like it was whatever.
It was one of the better written Call of Duties.
But I was like, whoa, you can actually have a strong narrative with characters that are driven by very vivid and tangible goals, and it uses a trope, but I love this trope where two people who don't really like each other.
It's the Shrek trope.
Go on a trip, and then they love each other, and they're best friends, or they fall in love, or they learn a love for each other, and it's just good, and it's good to see that chemistry bounce off of each other. The humor is really well done for as sparse as it is. There's some good bits in there, what I really love is this is gonna sound stupid, and I don't care because I love this game. It's such a human story. Everything that happens, the ending, it represents a lot of the human condition and the human psyche because we're weird and fucked up, all of us in our own very special way, and it's just so nice to see that explored and brought to extremes that it brings the characters to. I love Joel as a character. I love a grumpy old man.
Joel is a genius character. And one more thing I want to add. It's been half a decade. I'm going to spoil another game. But the ending is so powerful because it makes you do it. There's a lot of cognitive dissonance there. And I love that. Because you don't want to do it. but it doesn't fucking matter what you want to do
Joel wants.
because Joel is the
Well,
character.
I had
Joel,
the exact opposite reaction.
Yeah.
I had bonded so much with Joel. I had connected so much with Joel that I was like, fuck yeah, this is what we're doing. I'm going to get her. Like,
yeah, when I had already spoiled the game for myself when I got there, but
Right.
I still was kind of mortified because I didn't think he wiped out fucking everyone.
Yeah.
And it was so good, and it was logical, and it makes sense, and I'm not even hyped at all for Last of Us 2. I just don't want to play it.
I think I'd like to play the DLC. I think because it's just, it's a little.
Is it
more,
Left Behind?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's just a little more character building for Ellie, and it's just
I also
more,
wanna read
it's
the
more
comic.
it's more the same good gameplay. So I'll probably and that's one thing else I love about the game. Gameplay's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
I really enjoy it.
The combat's frantic and fun.
Yeah.
And the crafting system makes sense.
Yeah, the idea is that you gotta be stealthy, and if you don't, well, shit hits the fan really fast, and it just makes you play through.
Yeah.
It never felt sluggish to me. I always felt like I was progressing at all times, even if I died a million times. I always felt like I was. It was so well paced.
Yeah. It's a game I want to go through on like the hardest difficulty because it would make it feel a lot more like an apocalypse. Because you can, if you're on the easier difficulties, you can tank through a lot of shit and just fucking bam, guns ablazing. But
Well, the one thing I never did play with that was the online.
the online was amazing.
I could never get it to work.
Oh, that's dumb.
I could never get into a lobby or anything, but
it's the same gameplay from before. It's just
multiplayer.
really good.
It's basically Uncharted multiplayer, is my understanding.
A little bit. It's a little bit like Uncharted, but it's like you're fighting, but you have like a goal because you have like these civilians.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I'd recommend it, but I mean at this point it's dead. It's but yeah.
Despacito 2 confirmed.
Yeah. Despacito 2, the sequel. The Electric Boogaloo. Yeah. Great game though. Great game. You have any more thoughts on it?
I mean, I do, but I don't. Not anything I really want to talk about. Not that I.
Nothing you want to expand on.
Yeah, not
Okay.
particularly. Other than every character you meet, I love.
Yeah.
Like the whatever your fat fuck friend is that has the whole town rigged up in traps.
Oh God, yeah.
I can't think of his name right now. I want to say it's probably something like Elliot, but.
Yeah, his character was good, and again, it's another game that's cohesive. All of the characters are really tight and make sense, and God damn it, man. I think it's Amy Hennig, and she was gonna write a Star Wars game, but that got kibosh. It got the kibosh, and it's not gonna go. And it really fucking bums me out because she's a great fucking writer. She's a great writer. She's up there with Chris Avellone that I respect him, like her. I'm like, if you write it, then I will buy. I don't think she's writing The Last of Us 2. And I don't think she's on the Uncharted series anymore, so I don't really give a shit about either of those. But she is a great writer. She's actually, I think she's going to start her own indie studio, and
Well, God bless her then.
yeah. I hope she starts a Kickstarter and gets fucking over $1 million. Like, pulls the Pillars of Eternity or something. Yeah. The point at which Last of Us hit you. It's sort of similar to me with New Vegas, but I'm going back to New Vegas briefly, but I spent, just to contextualize it, like, my entire, like, winter of, like, 2010 was just spent on that game, and I have very fond memories of that. I'm sure you have very fond memories of, like, 2013. I think it's when The Last of Us came out.
Yeah.
2013, of you just spending time with it, and it's similar to my next game. If you're done with The Last of Us.
Yeah,
which
of course.
I assume. The next 7 are in loose order. And they're not necessarily all the best games. They're some of my favorites, and they're not all of my favorites. I have a lot. I've spent much time thinking about my favorite games, but The Wolf Among Us is my next game. It's the only Telltale game that actually feels like you have a choice. Because Telltale does a really cool thing. It's the illusion of choice, and they do it pretty well. But if you ever pick in the minority of those games, if you ever choose something in the minority, you can get fucked because your choice doesn't even matter because they didn't design the game for you. They designed the game for the majority. So when I chose, for instance, again, it's been half a decade. Don't complain, but Walking Dead Season 1. At the beginning of the game, you get... at the end of the first episode, you get to choose between the girl and the guy. Mm-hmm. I chose the guy because the girl, in my opinion, I was like, she knows too much. She knows I'm a criminal. She needs to die. I chose the minority. So he, I think, died very quickly, or he left the group or something at the start of episode 2 because didn't fucking matter.
Yeah. Which was such a bummer because he was actually like a more useful person. Yeah. He was some sort of engineer. He did some. I remember like he was like able to figure out the universal remote. He's like, oh yeah, I was this, and I was like, wow, that sounds incredibly useful to have on my team. And it didn't matter because they wanted you to be with the girl.
Well, it's only because the majority picked that.
Yeah.
And they designed that game. But with The Wolf Among Us, first off, it has... I'm not a big Walking Dead fan. But The Wolf Among Us, the comics. I love the concept of the comics. The comics are... They're gritty, they're dark, they're realistic. They're like, what if fantasy was real life? If you die in the game, you die in real life.
It's the kind of story like takes a grimmer... view of Grimm's already grim fairy tales, kind of like The Witcher does.
Yeah,
but it's like gritty and noir,
and it puts it in the universe of humans, and it makes them more human. And there's
what The Witcher does.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful artwork from the comics. And what did they do? They took this. They made a prequel, I believe. I don't think it ties in with the main comics, because I have the first comic and I've glanced at it. I haven't really read a whole lot of it. But I love the universe. I love the concept. The concept is genius. But the entire game, The Wolf Among Us, they took it, they dumped a bucket of neon on it. It's just drenched in neon, and it's so beautiful. If you're not running it on the 7th gen consoles, because I ran it and it was a goddamn slideshow. Because that's where I first bought it, and then my brother bought a Humble Bundle on the PC, and I was like, "Oh, this is what it looks like when it's meant to be played, when it's meant to be, or when it's played on something that it was meant to be played on." It is absolutely gorgeous. It is stunning to look at. The characters are interesting. It's another one where the characters all make sense.
Yeah,
and they make narrative sense, and your choices have repercussions because there's a trial at the end.
Toad is favorite character.
Toad is a great character, and there are actually certain because he leaves in most games, but if you do the right things, he can actually stay, and that's what made it feel so good because your choices actually mattered. That's why I like it over all other Telltale games because they do the illusion of choice. This game, since it doesn't have a second season, and although they say they're coming out with the second season, I don't care. The first season was really great. It ended on a bit of a cliffhanger, but it was cool. It was really cool, and I really liked it. I don't know, man. It was so well written, and it was I loved all the characters. I loved the set pieces. The fighting was fun, and the fighting, like the boss fights, were really, really fucking cool. And again, the concept is just so amazing. That I love that game. It was the first game I ever bought a season pass for. Because I played the first episode and I was like, this is great. This is something I would put money down for. And I'm really glad they didn't fuck it up by putting the illusion of choice in. Your choices actually matter because at the end of the game, there's a reckoning. And I really, really like it. That's what I love about all narrative games is if there's like a big reckoning at the end for all of your choices. All your choices matter. And that's what happened. And then there's a nice cliffhanger ending that I think leads into the comics, but I'm not entirely sure because I haven't started reading them. But I do own one of them. I just need to start reading it. Just lazy. I actually got that for free. I got the comic because a really cool thing our local comic book store does is if you buy enough from them, they'll take the average of I think it's 5 or 10 books that you buy, and they'll average it out, and they'll give you that money in store credit. And I went in, I was expecting to pay $15 for it, and then they were like, no, you've bought X amount of books, and we averaged it, and this is what you get for free. Still have $1 in in-store credit. And I was like, God damn it. It was just a nice day. I was like, man, really thankful. That's about all I have to say for Wolf Among Us, but it's a superb game. Really, it hit me at another good time. It was
Telltale's last great. Although the Batmans are supposed to be good.
I've never played the Batmans. I don't care that much.
I don't, after a couple episodes of The Walking Dead, I started losing a lot of respect for them. This isn't as good as episode 1. Episode 1 was great, and everyone talks about how great the rest of season 1 is.
Season 1 is actually pretty good. I
lost so much interest, and I was like, I just don't care anymore.
And Game of Thrones is bullshit. Don't buy the goddamn Game of Thrones game. That is the epitome of where your story choices don't fucking matter.
It's just a cash grab.
Because if it's a crash grab. B, there are certain parts of it that are really cool. Like the older brother who got exiled and he's like all fucking over in Essos and he's into mercenary work and shit because it makes sense because he was always the aggressive one. If somebody fucked with his family, he'd break their goddamn teeth. And it was genius. And then if you choose wrong at one of the episodes, you get a dog shit ending. And it was so remarkably unsatisfying because it seems like the logical choice. It's the one from like The Walking Dead. Like you can I'm gonna put another spoiler in. I'm sorry, this is the spoiler cast at this point. I'm just spoiling all the things. But the two brothers, you get to choose which one of them lives. And like, if you choose the one that was from Essos, the one who doesn't have a fucked up leg, and who's actually good and healthy to run the house, you just get a dissatisfying ending where a bunch of people die, and you're like, what the fuck? And you can't. Oh, that is one thing I just want to sock their goddamn creative lead on. I just want to punch that guy right in his fucking nuggets. Just real fast.
No,
I was about to say, there's squeaky chairs. If I smell something funny, I'm going to be very angry. But god damn it, it was so good. Oh, no. I'm not talking about Wolf Among Us anymore. Wolf Among Us, great game. Game of Thrones. That game, if you choose, so early on you get to choose which is like your little hand of the like regent, I guess. And it doesn't matter which one you choose, because either way, one of them's going to betray you, which is super out of character for both of the characters. You're like, why would you betray me? You've been a loyal follower to my house for years. It doesn't even tie into any of the themes of the books or the show that war is bad. Well, I guess it kind of does, but like, it just... And it starts so strong, because it's like the Red Wedding, and all your men get butchered, and you're like iron from ice, and like all this shit, and it's really fucking cool. And then it fucks it up like almost immediately in the second episode. It just starts. There are certain things that are just terrible about it, and Telltale I basically have no respect for anymore. I loved The Wolf Among Us. Walking Dead season 1 was pretty good. I didn't see the hype. I personally preferred The Wolf Among Us because again, your choices actually really, really, really matter in that game. At least maybe I've only played through it like once or twice. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is the Telltale illusional choice again. But that's when they had really strong creative leads and stuff, and it was really fucking good. And I really liked that game. Really great game. But don't buy Game of Thrones unless it comes in a Humble Bundle. Because, that's actually a really good deal. But that's how I got it, and that's how I played it, and it was... Oof. It's bad. Alright, you can go with your next game. I'm sorry.
So my next game that I had down here... I'm going to talk about my honorables real quick, and then you can move on. I'll just talk about all three at once. So honorables starting at I'm gonna start at Mountain Blade, because I guess Mountain Blade Warband more specifically. It's a great time sink for me.
I will hop in on this conversation. It is a
yeah. The base game is super super fun. Like with a lot of other things we talked about today. There's nothing else like it.
Oh no, not at all.
It is such a vastly unique game. And for as much as you can be like, oh, well, it's kind of like Dynasty Warriors with the big battles. Oh, it's just kind of like an RPG. There's relative town building. There's
strategy.
There's strategy. There's
RPG elements.
Unique diplomatic elements to it where you actually have to rise through the ranks, try and become like a political power, or you can be just a tyrant and a conqueror. And like there's so much you can do in the game. There's so much there's so much agency in that game.
Yeah.
Because nothing gets done for your person unless you do it. Unless you go and you build your own army and you fight. And combat is archaic to a certain extent. It's a little clunky.
But it works.
But it works, and it works really well. And again, it's unique. The only other...
is Chivalry, I think, that gets pretty close to it.
And that's because Chivalry was made as a mod for Mountain Blade.
Yeah.
And then turned into its own game, and now they have their other spin-off game. That's all like fantasy and stuff.
And then For Honor came out and was like, you guys suck.
Right. But yeah, Mountain Blade, gorgeous game, and Napoleonic Wars is some of the most fun I've had in recent months.
It's one of the best DLCs for any game I can think of. Really.
It changes the game to a certain extent. I mean, it adds guns and that's about it. But
just the multiplayer mode is so fun.
Well, the multiplayer mode is the only thing that exists.
Yeah.
Unless I think there's maybe a tutorial.
I don't think. You can get lag. I think that's like a mod, but it's not the same.
yeah, Napoleonic Wars, great expansion. Superb game overall. I really, really enjoy it.
Before you get to the next one, I would like to add to that. I also agree. It's because it's one of mine. Just a two birds, one stone. Great game. It ages really well, surprisingly.
I think that's because
it's so unique.
It's so unique.
Yeah. The combat's pretty good. There are no characters in this game. They're all 2D cutouts, which is something I like at the beginning, and I always get. Well, I don't like it. It's just it's fine for me at the beginning, but then I get really infuriated towards the end because I'm like, I'm not talking to anybody, not even the factions. So I feel like they'll fix it in Bannerlord, but it is another one that is just so unique, and I thought it would never see the light of consoles, but it's on console now. Yeah, I mean, if you game
Bannerlord hype, coming out probably 2025.
Yeah, it is just really, really good. And like you said, there's nothing else like it. It's part strategy, part role-playing game, part political-ish game, part building sim, like you said.
Part dating sim.
Part there's a lot of parts in there. And they do well enough on each to warrant a part trading sim even. I mean, there's like actually rudimentary economics in it.
It is a whole from many parts, for sure. Like it everything in it comes together to create a very enjoyable and just I can't think of the word.
It's not cohesive.
No, it's not cohesive.
It's more of adhesive at this point.
Yeah.
It's not a cohesive experience. It's actually it's one of the games that I really like that's actually, it has a lot of disparate elements.
I think the only thing I can compare it to as far as complexity goes is any sort of Paradox game.
Yeah, it's because it's made by Paradox. I think it is. It might be published by Paradox.
Maybe.
Because it's Tale Worlds, but I think it's published by Paradox. Could be wrong.
I don't think, but that as far as complexity goes, that's what I can compare it to.
Yes.
With how many things you can manage and do. But it's all in real time and with actual, but like.
And the real time, it's great. I mean, there is a dominant strategy. Because once you play the game enough, like me and Cameron have, you go for the faction leader that's out on the battlefield. But I've won. It's really satisfying when you go into a fight with 12 or 15 troops and face like 100. You're like, men, hold the line, and you just charge, and you just go and kill them, and like you have maybe one or two survivors, but those guys are all leveled up, and it's so satisfying. And maybe if you are listening to this, and you haven't played the game, none of this makes fucking any sense to you. But it is it's really satisfying. It gets tedious, I will admit that. If you don't console command, if you don't cheat, it gets very tedious in the early game, and it even gets tedious in the later game. But the tedium is actually sort of what makes it fun. It's really weird to explain. It's like repetition.
It's the part of your brain that's like micromanaging is fun.
Yeah,
it's the reason why a lot of simulator, a lot of Paradox games are enjoyed by many people, is because some part of your left brain, your logical brain's like, this is fun. I like doing lots of work. Well, I would never. I don't know. I've left sessions feeling satisfied, but maybe not necessarily having fun. It's like chores. It feels good to get it done.
Which is weird to say.
I mean, it's an analogy used by Ego Raptor's done it before, although he used it in a negative connotation. I don't. For games, I feel like if you can leave it feeling any sort of positive emotion, you've done well. I don't necessarily have to have the most fun time playing a game. If I leave it and I feel good, which is
unlike a Dark Souls game, where you just hate yourself afterwards. But yeah, I agree. It's super unique. It gets tedious, and it gets a little repetitive. But repetitive it used to be a big slur against games in the early to late 2000s, where like this is repetitive, but they never went in depth on it because repetition can be fun.
Yeah.
Core gameplay loops of say Fallout 4 or even New Vegas are a little bit repetitive. They're Fallout 4 a lot so, but like say. Binding of Isaac, it's I'll give that a shout out. I guess it's kind of an honorable mention. Binding of Isaac, core gameplay loop never changes, very repetitive. You fight things, you beat bosses, and you keep going. And sometimes you get really overpowered.
Zelda's fun, and Zelda's all.
And
Find
like
dun-
Breath of the
find-
Wild. Breath of
find
the
dungeon,
Wild is
beat dungeon, explore. Find dungeon, beat dungeon, explore.
and same thing with Skyrim. But repetition isn't necessarily bad when when you're repeating a task that's fun.
Yeah.
If you keep doing the same thing over again, but you like it, it's a good thing, and that's sort of how Mount Blade is. And I highly recommend it if you want something unique. If you want something that's a lot of different disparate elements brought together that actually just work. And the wonderful words of Todd Howard, they actually just work. And there aren't many glitches in the game. It's not like Fallout New Vegas, notoriously glitchy. Another one of my games on the list, notoriously glitchy.
One
but
request I could get to work for a while was Fallout NV has stopped working.
yeah, one solution, very bad. But yeah, I'll let you get on with your honorable mentions. But that was a higher up one on my list. So great game.
Next honorable mention is Terraria, and this is a small honorable mention. It was a game, because like everybody, I played Minecraft. And so I was like, oh, Terraria, it's like 2D Minecraft, and that's fun. And it was just, I don't know why, but I think it was such a calming game for me. I've always dealt with a lot of anxiety and stress, like even as a kid. I don't know why, but it was just something I could completely zone out to. All the music was super chill, like Minecraft music.
Yeah.
It's like soft and it was another one of the ones that like I actually connected with a community of a server online for a while, and I was just get on and I would talk to a couple people that were on there. Like there were a couple recurring guys that were on about the same time every night, and I probably only did that for about a month, but super fun. And like it was like that game. All of these games have some sort of quote unquote important connection to me, and that was like, oh, that's my first time engaging with a lot of people from around the world over a shared interest, and introducing myself to a community of strangers, basically. Yeah. And that was really cool. And the other one is, other honorable mention, which is probably somewhere in my top 15 to top 20 maybe, is Stardew Valley. And I love that game because I freaking love...
chores. You love chores.
Harvest Moon. I love the original Harvest Moon for the SNES. SNES, right? It's on the SNES.
Harvest Moon?
Yeah.
Harvest Moon's on a lot of shit.
Well, yeah, but the original one, whatever the original one was on, I like that. I like that game a lot. I sound stupid because I don't know what's on, but I like that game a lot.
Yeah.
And Stardew Valley, it's fun. It's pretty to look at.
It's made by one fucking guy.
Made by one guy, Concerned Ape. Love that guy. Want to meet him. Want to buy him a beer. But yeah, that's another just super relaxing game. Nothing super important with it, other than I'm hyped that multiplayer's here now, and we've been goofing around with it just a little bit.
Yeah. I remember you bought that for me over spring break.
Yeah.
It was
because I was like, dude, when multiplayer comes out, we will chill.
And we played it like once on multiplayer.
Yeah.
We need to play it more on multiplayer.
It's such a time sink now. You know?
It's a very. That's another game where it's repetitive, but the thing with me is I don't hate the core gameplay loop. It's just I don't think it's. After listening to George Weidman talk about it, he says it works better on Switch, where it's a pick up and go. Yeah. And it works better if you do it in like 15-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute intervals. And I try to sit down and play it for hours on end, and I don't think I can do that. Because it gets tedious. Just chop, 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 mine, go to bed. And I feel like you have to go to bed too fast, but yeah, whatever. If I did it for like 30 minutes a day for a couple days, I think I would love it. I think I'd fall in love with it, but I just don't play it properly. Mm-hmm. It's just one of the games that I just don't play properly.
And it's the opposite for me. I really enjoy to sit down and play it for probably a 2-hour stretch.
Yeah.
You know, I probably really enjoy it. Like,
it's another one where you can zone out to the music.
Yeah,
the music
exactly.
is great, and the art is beautiful, and and you get to choose what you do every day. If you want to be a lazy bum, you want to go talk to the villagers, you want to go shop at the Walmart and lose money, which is bullshit, because me and Cameron found that out. So it used to be... It used to be like a slight...
We were buying things before, and then it does lower a couple weeks into the game or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe I was wrong. But there's there's like a Walmart, and there's like a regular store, like a mom and pop shop. And the mom and pop shop had lower prices. And it was supposed to be something... It wasn't like you never have an inside like, oh, and the mom and pop shop went out of business. But it was always an interesting moral quandary. It's like, were you going to spend more on less because it's a mom and pop shop and you don't want to go out of business, even though it wouldn't actually go out of business, or would you spend less on more at the Walmart that also employs people, but I mean, it's not the mom and pop shop.
Yeah.
And it was going to be an interesting philosophical quandary until I did the math, and it cost fucking more at the Walmart. And I was like, well, that's no longer an interesting philosophical quandary. It's stupid.
And it's, for me, it's a little bit of a bummer for such a laid back game. It makes sense that it would have a heavy anti-establishment, anti-corporation thing.
Yeah,
especially because this was an indie game made by one guy who's like, hey, AAA games suck, and you see how much love one man can pour into a game. I'm like, yeah, I get it.
He worked on it for years, didn't he?
No, he made it in a couple months.
Oh yeah, no, he made it in an hour.
Yeah. Games are easy to make. Remember?
The guy. There's a book. I haven't read it, but I've heard some stuff about it. Blood, Sweat, and Pixels.
Oh, okay.
Pixels. And it talks a lot about Stardew Valley, and the guy had some tumultuous times while developing that game.
Oh, yeah.
But once he developed it, and once he put it out there, he made a shit ton of money. And I think it's still in early access? Question mark?
No.
It isn't? Okay.
I think it released full release.
Okay, cool.
Just the multiplayer's in a beta.
All right, yeah.
That's the only thing that's up with that.
Yeah, interesting game.
So, you want to talk about your honorable mentions or just
they're like kind of they're pseudo honorable mentions because I think I want to go in depth about some, like Rainbow Six Vegas 2. So I always played Halo with my dad, and we played it fairly seriously, and I'd meme around on it. I have a vivid memory of me killing him a lot in Halo, and he went off to go take a leak, and I killed him, and he kept respawning, and I kept killing him, but I don't think the bodies despawned. It might have been a glitch, or it might have just been a feature of the game, but the bodies didn't despawn. There was like a stack of 20 bodies, and I got grounded. I couldn't play games for like a month because he's like, you're not supposed to kill the good guys. What the hell? It wasn't a month, but I know I couldn't play games for like a week or something after that, and I was like, dude, come on. It was just a meme. And I was just chuckling as I beat the because I'd go up behind him and I'd have like the Magnum and smash his skull in. But yeah, so I played that, and that was really fun, and I had a lot of fun with it.
I'm sorry.
But it's a good meme. It's a spicy meme. I got grounded. It's like when I ripped when I Hulk fucking smashed that DS, because I have that Neanderthal DNA. I was just rock smash, and I fucking ripped it in half because of SpongeBob game. That's a story for another day.
Run or smash.
I run or smash, fight or flight, and I fought that fucking thing, and I beat the shit out of it. And the other, oh yeah, so Rainbow Six Vegas 2. I always played games with my dad, and I played some of the earlier Rainbow Six games, but they were so obtuse that they were kind of hard to play. Like Rainbow Six, I think it was Black Arrow, Operation Black Arrow, Rainbow Six Lockdown, Rainbow Six 3. Really old games on the Xbox, really great games, but they were hard to play, and I didn't really get into them until later on in life. My dad, of course, he didn't sell it, he gave it away for a favor, my Xbox with all of the Xbox games. I'm very unhappy about that, but so I no longer own it. I don't own any of the games. But Vegas 2 was a 360 game, and we used to sit down and play that game a lot. And it was so tactical. It was the first game I used tactics with, because we'd put there was like door cameras, and you put the fucking door cameras in, and you're like, oh, I see a couple shitbirds in there. Oh, we're gonna fucking blow them away. And you're like, okay, you're gonna breach this door at this moment. And it was just, it had such deep, it didn't have super deep gameplay, but it had deep enough gameplay where it was just really good, and we play it, and we'd crank up the difficulty all the way, and you just give it your best shot, and you'd get your ass kicked a lot.
That's still permadeath, right? That's still everyone in your...
I don't remember. I can't remember. It's been ages since I played the game, but I have vivid memories of me just playing it, and I'd go hard, and we'd go hard, and we'd go hard, and then we'd hit like a brick wall because we're playing on the hardest difficulty. But it was just so fun leveling up my guys, getting the gear, going through each and every mission, doing it really tactically, not rushing it. It was a good teaching lesson for my dad, who was a Marine Corps officer. Story for a different day. But he was teaching me a little bit about tactics, teaching me a little bit. I mean, it was rudimentary teaching, but he was just like, you should think before you act, and a lot of good moral messages were had over that. And it was just God damn.
But Dan, shooters cause violence.
Yeah, and I've turned out to be a shitheel, of course. Dad's not proud of me. Mom's not proud of me. I'm not even proud of me. So, no. But Rainbow Six Vegas 2, it's high up there, man. I don't know where it would place, but it's high up there for me. Just because of the nostalgia, and I'm going to go back and replay it. Red Dead Redemption. I felt obligated to have a Rockstar game on, because I love Rockstar, but I also hate Rockstar. I played GTA 4, and everybody hailed it as like the best game of all time.
Rockstar, I hate Take-Two.
I also agree. I hate Take-Two, especially when they go after modders. It's like, dude, fuck you. These are the people who love your game so much they want to develop more content for it for free, and you're treating them like dog shit. That's a story for another day, though. But it was between Max Payne 3, which I love, and also Red Dead Redemption 2, which I love a little bit more.
Red Dead 2, you said?
Or no, not Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead, it was the first Rockstar game that I played and I really loved. GTA 4...
It was also my first Rockstar game.
Well, I played GTA 4, and I also played Battle to Tony.
Sorry,
and
it wasn't also... It was my first Rockstar game.
Yeah, you lost your Rockstar virginity.
Yeah.
I didn't like it that much. I played it a little bit. I liked the Lost and Damned more because I liked the biker look, but it was boring. GTA 4 was fucking boring. Liberty City was not interesting at all to me, and the narrative was interesting, and it was a cool critique on modern America, and there were certain bits of great writing in it. It really was. Same with GTA 5, but it never grasped me in the same way Red Dead Redemption 2.
Well, that's because
Red Dead Redemption did.
That boils down to story. Red Dead has a great story.
It has a great story. All of the characters, it's another game where the characters all make sense. There's like a guy who's been sunbaked, who's a fucking crazy bastard, Seth. You have the cool snake oil salesman. You have that one Mexican general who fucks you over. You have Dutch, the leader of the gang. He's like a cold pragmatist. A lot of interesting characters. I love the characters in that game. And I love the story. And like Bonnie, who nurses you back to health. She's a great character. Your wife's a great character. She's a very strong woman. All of the characters are awesome. John Marston, one of the greatest characters of all time.
Jack Marston, one of the worst characters of all time.
Jack Marston, yeah, not that good. But Red Dead Redemption and the ending, again, it was a kick in the nuts, because that one I didn't spoil for myself. And I played it, and that ending hit me
because I never ended up beating it. Train. My saves got corrupted or something, or I lost the game, or something happened with the game disc. And I stayed away from the ending as long as I could, because I always told myself I was going to finish it, and I never did. I finally looked up the ending, and I was like, no.
Yeah, so after all of this work, it was for nil. It was for nothing. And I won't spoil... I've spoiled enough games for today, but the ending was a kick in the nuts, and it was really cool, and then you get to play as... God damn it, I just ruined it. Okay, so I'll spoil it anyway, because I like ruining games on this podcast. John Marston dies. He gets gunned down by the lawman, the same lawman he worked side by side with, and captured or killed all of his former allies or former gang members. Mm-hmm. And it was really, he's doing it for a life he wanted. He was doing it so he could live the life he wanted to live, and he couldn't. After a couple of missions where you do stuff for the homestead, it's all this winding up, and finally you get to live the life of the farmer, and you get to buy shit from Bonnie like he always said he would. He was like, I'll come back, I'll buy shit from you when I have my farm, when I can go back to my farm. When you go back to your farm and you actually, because you finish the game, you finish the main missions, and you do like 2 or 3 missions where it's just John Marston living a normal life, and you're like, this is great. And then you get gunned down by the lawman, and it's a great ending, because there's no good endings for a guy like that.
No.
There's none. I mean, you can try to be the best person you can be, but when you do the shit he did, the shit he was rolling with, there's no good ending. If you read any good story from the Old West, there's no good ending for the bad guy, which is the good guy, ironically, in this case. I think it was Billy the Kid who was like adjusting a painting and just bam, you're fucking dead. If you read any of the cowboy stuff and like any of the robber stuff, all of those people died for the main part. I think Jesse James was gunned down. I think a lot of people were gunned down, and it's just how violent lives lead to violent ends. And there was just no way that this character.
Would you say that these violent desires have,
or these violent delights lead to violent ends or some shit? Great show. Westworld season 2, terrible. Westworld season 2, I can recommend to literally no one, not even fans of Westworld, because Westworld season 1 was art. Westworld season 2 is shite ass. It's bad. It is actually. I'm not gonna spoil it because this is new. Fuck that show though. Fuck that show.
I still need to finish season 2.
Fuck season 2, dude. Don't even finish it. You'll be. We'll talk about it later. I'm not gonna spoil it.
If anything, like anything HBO, it's a visual spectacle. I'll just enjoy it to see colors or some shit. You know?
There's a terrible CG effect.
Oh god.
There's a terrible CG effect.
Can't
the
wait.
rest are great, but it's in the season finale, and I won't spoil it. But there's a terrible CG effect, and you'll be like, "Wow, why? Who fucking greenlit this? Who? I want to know him so I can punch him in the face."
They didn't finish post production.
Yeah, that's basically it. But Red Dead Redemption, one of my second honorable mention. And then Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, and Ground Zeroes, and Metal Gear Solid 3. I couldn't decide either one. Because Metal Gear Solid 5, I think of it in 2 chapters. I think of it in Ground Zeroes, and I think of it in Phantom Pain. Both are great games. And this is a very...
Mechanically for me.
Mechanically, gameplay-wise. Story-wise, they're not that good. So, here's how I think about it. And I think Super Bunny Hop already made the point. This is the gameplay peak of the series, but the story peak was Metal Gear Solid 3. And I was never interested in any of the story from 4, 1, or 2, because I don't care about Solid Snake as a character, but I do care about Big Boss, because Big Boss is fucking rad. And video game canon, he's the most interesting out of all of the Metal Gear guys. And I love both of them. Metal Gear Solid 5, I was talking about it earlier for the Steam sale. It's a game that understands player gameplay choice. Like,
Ocelot
what
was
games...
cool until 4, and then 5 he just has no character whatsoever.
5 he's supposed to be... So the wild card of the series is supposed to be the voice of reason. Makes a lot of sense. Good job. I don't know what Kojima was doing when he wrote the script. I don't care. The gameplay of 5 is spectacular.
He was probably getting ready to work for Sony. That's what he was doing.
Yeah, he was. And there was a lot. I think it was rushed by Konami because there's a whole entire fucking act of the game that wasn't finished. There's a lot of cool stuff. Story-wise, I really liked the Act 1 ending where it was...
How Solidus is...
Yeah.
You're supposed to meet him as a kid.
Yeah. Liquid is Liquid Snake, I think. Or Liquid Snake is in the game as one of them. And the Les Enfants Terribles thing was really fucking cool. There are certain cool things in it that are really cool, and some of them are fan servicey, but others are just unforgivable. The story makes no goddamn sense, and it's clearly unfinished if you watch the documentary behind it. It's very clearly unfinished. There was supposed to be a third act to the game. It was supposed to be... I think there was supposed to be 4 acts, in all honesty, because why... it's... Like, acts... don't they come in 4 acts? There's like a 4 acts.
There's a 4, yeah.
Yeah, there's... not many things are in 3 acts, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be 3 or 4 acts, and it was supposed to be 3 or 4 overworlds, and it was supposed to be 3 or 4 things. But then it just... Play the game up until the ending of Act 1. Once you do that, you've basically seen everything. Act 2, the finisher for that one is pretty interesting. But Act 1, if you beat that gives you a really satisfying ending to what you're going for. It's all about revenge. It ties it up pretty nicely. And it's really cool. And I really like... I like the story to an extent. But the gameplay is why you play the game. The gameplay... which is the shooting, it feels good. The stealth feels great. All of the gadgets that you can use, all of the different tactics you can use to get into places, all of the different things you can do are really great. And there's so many little details, if you knock...
Rocket Fist is best gadget.
Rocket Fist is amazing. And if you knock someone out, it's just an example of all the small details in the game. You knock someone out, you put them in a river, they die, they drown. a lot of cool little details like that. And the more people you kill, the horn grows, and I like that. And there's certain cool things
Very
about it.
Fable with that.
Yes, very Fable. Well, a lot less Fable, because Fable you literally turn into a
Well,
demon.
yeah, but like,
It's a little more on the nose, but I agree. It is Fable-esque in that sense, and it's really it's good. It's developed well. The boss fights are bullshit. The skulls are a lazy excuse for a boss. They're poorly designed. They make they make a little bit of sense, but narratively they don't tie in. They're not as good as Metal Gear Solid 3's. So off to Metal Gear Solid 3. I've said enough about Metal Gear Solid 5. Metal Gear Solid 5, great game. Go buy it. But don't expect a great story. It's just great gameplay. Really great gameplay. Decent story in certain aspects, but in most regards, it's actually a very bad story. Yeah. Metal Gear Solid 3, though.
Great fucking game.
Great gameplay, great story. But it's not the gameplay peak, because it just controls... It controls wonkily. Like you...
Is it 07?
It's an old game.
Yeah.
But it's not that it's an old game. First off, Kojima decided for the twins, or not for the Twin Snakes, but for the first edition to lock the camera not in a third person position, but in the above position. That made the game nearly, I wouldn't say it's unplayable, but god damn it, is it so bad.
Subsistence is the one that has the...
Subsistence, yeah. Subsistence is the one that has the free camera. Play it with a third person camera. It feels good. Play it on the HD collection. Feels fucking great. And it controls really well. The gameplay is really good. There's a lot of different options. There's a lot of valid tactics you could do. It's very deep. And the story is really great. Learning about Big Boss is really fucking good. All of the bosses are really well designed. Aside from, like, I think the Fear? No, I think that's the Fury. I think the Fear is the one that climbs around, hops around, and you're just like, dude, you're fucking terrible boss. But like the rest of them are absolutely amazing and spectacular.
Well,
the end is really good.
I would say arguably he's a terrible boss because there's so many different mechanical ways you can beat him.
Yeah, you can feed him poisonous food, which I think is actually genius. So I guess you're right. He's not that bad of a boss, but he's definitely like the lowest on the totem pole. The one with the bees was really cool.
The Pain?
I think that was the Pain, yeah. There was a couple other ones that are worthy of note, but it was a great game. It was honestly, it's I can't decide though, because it's like, do you want raw great gameplay or do you want a mixture of great gameplay and great story? That's the big question when it comes to Metal Gear. But I still think the gameplay peak is, and it might just be a little bit above MGS3. It might be, but it's up there, and I think it is better, but I don't know how much better. I'm gonna have to replay both and decide for that on my own. But yeah, those are my 3-minute honorable mentions. That took a little longer than I thought. But I only have 2 more games to go, so.
Yeah, same here. So I'll talk about mine. It was just, again, a lot of mine, I have a lot of short things to say about it. But favorite game of mine, one I've replayed a lot, is Hotline Miami. And it's just, it's one of my favorite games just because of how fun it is. I can't, like, it's... Reggie Fils-Aimé. If it's not fun, why bother? And
yeah.
Hotline Miami is just fun. Yeah, it's rage-inducing. I've probably broken a mouse or two playing that goddamn game. But it's just so quick, so satisfying. Like, you don't... and as rage-inducing as it may or may not be, you don't have time to be mad. Because as soon as you die, guess what? Restart. Redo.
And it's instantaneous.
Yes. And it's the
beats of the music.
Oh, the music is phenomenal.
Yeah.
That soundtrack is... I don't know. That soundtrack, I think it's on my liked videos. It's constantly in my watch history. I know that for sure. I'll just zone out music. It's so good.
Yeah.
Synthy jams are love it.
It's great and it jives really well with the gameplay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Devolver Digital did a good job snatching that one up to publish it.
Yeah.
I can't think of who made it right now. God damn it.
Wasn't it like 2 guys?
I don't know, but fucking I love them. Whoever they are. Made a fantastic game. The story's really interesting, you know. I love that game. Yeah. But that's all I have to say. It's fun. That's basically all I have to say about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a simple game. There's not much to say. Buy it.
Yeah, it's $2.50. So, my next game, Metro Redux. I I can't praise this game enough. It came out for me at a special time. It came out if you were an early adopter of like the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, you know there was a big game drought. There was a very big game drought for like the first year.
What are you saying? Knack didn't satisfy you?
Yeah, Knack knacked me in the asshole. That's what it did. It knacked my knackers. No, it was not good. Well, I never played it, so I can't claim it's not good, but I've seen enough to know it's dog shit. So I think it was like the summer of 2013 or 2014. There was a big game drought, for me at least. There was nothing I really wanted to play, but I'd always remembered. I rented a game long ago because for an A you got to rent a game for like a week or some shit.
Oh yeah, Family Video.
Family Video,
You got A on your report card.
And I rented this game that I had always liked because I love the post-apocalyptic genre called Metro 2033, and it had gotten a Redux version that runs really fucking well, and I got that, and it just absorbed me for the next like 30 hours. I love that game. It is the atmosphere. Some of the characters have really great writing. Don't get me wrong. It's based off a book series, for God's sakes. I mean, it's kind of hard to fuck up when you have such great source material.
Right.
But it's not just the writing. It's that you actually feel like, I mean, I got fully immersed in that game. I mean, we're talking like environmentally and mechanically immersed. Like everything just clicked. I was Artyom. The writing was so spot on. The set pieces were like walking through little metro towns and seeing what everybody wanted, or everybody doing their things and living their lives, and it was so realistic.
So environmentally immersive.
Yes.
To steal Barry Kramer's classifications.
Yeah, and also mechanically, because you had to wipe your mask. You had to. You felt like you were in this post-apocalyptic, and it felt really crazy. And the interfactionary politics was really cool between the Nazis and the commies.
Doesn't the Redux remove non-canonical endings though?
Yeah. So there was one non-canonical ending for Metro 2033. It's one where you don't kill. Spoilers.
The Seeker?
You don't kill. You don't like nuke the next evolution, because they're supposed to be good guys, but they don't understand how to convey their message. They're like the next evolution of humans, but you end up destroying them because you don't understand them, and it's cool and it's human and it makes sense.
Yeah, it's very very.
And then the second game is you find one that exists, and you're like, I thought we killed all of you, but he's forgiving, and he's like but he's kind of like a child, and it's crazy and it's really cool. And then you get to see how like you get to spit like the first level of I think Last Light you spend in like a concentration camp by the Nazis, and it's just so insane. Like it looks like how it would look as a post-apocalyptic gulag, as a post-apocalyptic thing. And the writing, certain bits of writing is a little bit cheesy, but a lot of the things are really cool. And I just absolutely love that, and sneaking through like the battlefields between the Nazis and the commies again, and fighting the absolute mongoloids that you see out there.
The libraries.
Library stuff. Yeah.
We're talking about Last Light right now, but 2033.
Both of them are great. Like I said, they're good bookends, but we need to have the full trilogy, and I know when Metro Exodus comes out, it's going to be a great game. I have full hope for that one. Super immersive, great game, great gunplay. Level design is okay. I mean, it's literally a corridor game for like
it's
for the first game, because
it's pretty linear.
Well, it's designed to be that way because it's a Metro, so I'm fine with the linearity there. But great game. I got just utterly immersed. And that's about as much as I have to say for it right now. But god damn it,
I
go
will
play
say
that
the only
game.
thing I dislike about 2033 is some of the turret sections.
There are a couple.
And like, it's a gaming trope, and it can be done well. And for a lot of like, it made sense. Like, oh hey, yeah, these things are coming. They come in packs, and eventually they'll swarm you. But I played on the hardest difficulty, whatever it was, the Ranger difficulty, I think. And I got my shit rocked every time during one of these sections. It took so like,
Yeah.
Turret sections are terrible. Don't use them.
Some of them were, but overall the overall experience, it was just I turned off like the HUD.
Mm-hmm.
I because I didn't want to play it on Ranger Hardcore mode because I'm a big pussy, but I wanted to play it. I wanted to be immersed, and I got immersed in that game, and it was just really great, and I know I'm not I say I love a lot of these games, but I'm not necessarily conveying it properly. But god damn it, I love Metro Redux, and I love both games. For very similar reasons. Last Light's a little different because you get to see a lot more of the world. But the world in that game, to specify, the world is just so unique and it's so good. I can't recommend it enough. And the shooting's really good. The level design's okay. Certain aspects have great level design. Certain ones have terrible level design. Really depends on which. Last Light has aged much better than 2033, no doubt. But 2033 is still a goddamn great game. That again, I just can't recommend enough. So yeah, on to your next game.
The last one I have on here, which we've pretty much been going for the most part, at least for me, most favorite to least favorite, quote unquote. Like these are all pretty.
Mine's scattershot.
Yeah,
so.
and it's pretty interchangeable for a lot of like these all hold pretty good ways. I have written down Monster Hunter for Ultimate, but really it's any Monster Hunter I'm playing at the current time. I play Generations through an emulator on my computer, and I played the original one on PS2, and when I get World
Freedom Unite.
And, Freedom Unite.
I think
that's the one I meant to say on the emulator.
Yeah, not Generations.
But Freedom Unite on the emulator, and when I buy World on PC, that's gonna take the spot of For You on this little sheet of paper.
Yeah.
Because I love Monster Hunter as a series. I can understand why it's not as popular as a game franchise as many others, because it's quirky. It is a quirky game. There's so much mechanical depth to it, and it's the gameplay is just grinding. It's
it's repetitive but good.
Yeah, it's another chore game, which is a weird classification, I guess, but that's really what it is. You know, you play it to a point of satisfaction for you, and that's for me. That's what makes it fun. Also, hunting giant dinosaurs will never not be enjoyable.
No, that will never. That is a fact. That is objective truth. It's a great game. My recommendation: download PPSSPP, get Monster Hunter Freedom Unite as a ROM. If you own it, of course. I'm sorry, you can't pirate this. You gotta own it first. But do yourself a favor, even if you don't have it. Just go get PPSSPP, get Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. Maybe get a couple of buddies to get it too, because that's how me, Cameron, and another friend, Ethan, played it. Get a couple of buddies, do that, grind a little bit on your own, play together. And because PPSSPP is functionally a PSP, and you can do LAN, and you can do online. I've gotten into an online game before on PPSSPP to another PSP, because again, it's functionally a PSP.
I believe you can actually get it to work with Hamachi or whatever.
Yeah. Well, we made it work with LAN, I think.
Well, yeah, we did it with LAN, but I know you can get it with whatever LAN, quote, like the binding LAN service that you use, like Hamachi. There's a bunch of other ones that you can use. It should work with that.
Yes.
So that way, because like getting an online server might be iffy if you can't get in the right online server together and stuff like that. But fucking good,
dude. Yeah. But the Freedom Unite, get PPSSPP, do play with your friends and have a blast. Map it to a controller because it controls fucking amazingly. Mm-hmm. And just have a fucking blast. I loved that game. Because I had it on PSP, and I played a little bit of it when I was a kid. It didn't click with me because, again, it was mechanically, it was too deep. And I got my ass kicked a lot. And I only did, like, the herb picking side quests. But if you play it on PC, you can put on shaders, which the shaders make it look beautiful.
I would say it probably looks early PS3 quality.
Yes, it looks absolutely gorgeous at
if
points.
you use the right shaders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you
I
can
think we
bump-
use natural color shaders.
Yeah, something like that. And you can also
Yeah.
bump some of the filtering up
Yes.
and some other stuff, and you can make it look really, really good. It's locked to 30,
Yeah.
but you don't notice it at all
No,
because all the animations are locked to 30, so everything works perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Um,
If you can speed it up to the point in your monitor, but all the game mechanics are tied to that,
Yeah.
so the game will
Run.
actually go way faster. But it's a great game, guys. Just try it out. And my final game, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. It was, and I scattershotted this, so I had.
that's probably somewhere on my list. That should have been at least an honorable mention on my list because I.
Yeah. It's a great game. It is the only other game that I got New Vegas vibes from. It was one that was really well written. It was made by the same people who made Fallout 1 and Fallout 2. It has great fucking music. That one is like the intro theme, the very ambient. I don't want to make a noise with my now. I don't want to try and replicate it because it'd probably come out very poorly. But god damn it, that game. They kind of have like a pseudo faction system, and they have all the characters. You can't point to a single character that's poorly written. Like they're just, I mean, unless it's just like a normal NPC that keeps regurgitating the lines.
The voice acting is
superb.
Some of the best I've
Yes.
ever seen in a game.
They got actual voice actors to come and do it.
And everybody whose voice they build a character so much you can understand who they are as a person through their voice and through like very little of their dialogue. They don't have to tell you who they are or what they're about for you to understand that.
And their flavor texts. God damn it. I spent hours just reading their emails and shit. And
absolutely love how whichever race you pick, you're going to get a different gameplay experience.
Yes.
Because they're so specialized between... I think the two major differences would be if you play as the Nosferatu and the crazy ones.
The Malkavians.
The Malkavians. Those are going to be your two most varied experiences, because the other three, I want to say there are, maybe two. There's one that's like a brute and is good at fighting, and the ones that like are like the pretty ones.
There's the Bruja, the Ventru, Malkavians, Nosferatu, and the one I play as is the pretty ones, but I can't remember their goddamn names.
And they specialize in charisma and stuff like that, and I guess seduction is like a thing they mention.
So they're like the most beautiful of their kind, and they're very ambitious, and I just all of the characters are really well written. I really love the voice acting. I really love some of the gameplay is actually half decent. It aged well because it's Source Engine, because the Source Engine actually ages well. The facial animations are really good. Some of the animations don't fit. You have the I forget his name, but the librarian guy.
Yeah.
Who comes up, who's like a werewolf-esque vampire, and he like fucking transforms, and it's like all fucked up, and it's funny, but like,
I mean, it's
bad.
It's unfinished. It is a unfinished product.
It's another game that I love that is absolutely broken, but through the dedication of fans, they come out with these patches. Like I said, go watch Ragnarok's video on it. Great guy. Great fucking video. I rewatch it every once in a while because it's a really great video. I've spent easy, I think 80 hours in the game because I looked at my playtime because I always thought I spent like 30 or 40. I think it's 80 that I've spent in the game, but it says I've only played 5 minutes of it on Steam because I played through the unofficial patch. The unofficial patches, it's borderline unplayable without them. You have to like clip through things because certain things won't load. You can maybe play it, but it's not recommended. But the game itself is it's a flaw. It's like a lot of games I like. It's a flawed masterpiece. It's like Alpha Protocol in that sense. It's like Fallout New Vegas in that sense. It was rushed by some people. It didn't have enough, but it had so much goddamn love put into it. And that's all I really have to say. Because we're close to 2 hours, and I'm getting like last time. We're both getting pretty tired. So, any final thoughts on favorite games or anything?
Not particular. I think I've said I haven't said too much, but I've said what I wanted to say. So
in summation, the summer sale was shite. Um, Fallout New Vegas is collectively our favorite game, and you can tell what we both want from games out of our brief like favorite slash important slash great games lists. And our gaming educations were varied. They're both very very different and but both pretty similar. We both had similar beats and yeah. Thanks for if you got this far, Jesus Christ,
You're a trooper.
You
That's
are a
for damn
trooper,
sure.
and we thank you. Yeah, we gonna slice this into pieces? Nah. All right. Well, thanks for joining us for the
Got games.
podcast. I
Yeah,
guess.
we loved having you.
Yeah.
It was good for us. I hope it was good for you.
Yeah. This is.
And I guess we never mentioned our sponsor again, but.
Oh yeah, the random erections throughout the day. They're really nice. They just help you out, help you get out of a pickle, by messing with your pickle. They're great. They're a great sponsor. But we're also sponsored by Tesla. Nikola, not Elon. Though we wish it was Elon. Just by Nikola Tesla because he's dead and he's public property, so we just co-opted him as a sponsor. He made some coils. They're pretty rad. If you're a vape lord, they're probably what's in your vape because they're coils.
If you like Wi-Fi, he basically laid the groundwork for Wi-Fi.
If you like waifus, he made anime. So so yeah.
He's dead. It doesn't matter. We can say anything.
Yeah. Great dude. Fucking wacky motherfucker. One of his quotes that I've seen, it's like he's like, humankind will make more advancement in 10 years when we start like studying like the metaphysical. I think you'll have to Google it. Than we have in all of the other things. I did that. I butchered that quote. Google Nikola Tesla quotes. He has a really interesting one on science and something to ponder. But I'm not gonna ponder anymore. I'm gonna go to sleep. So good night, good morning, good afternoon to everybody who's listening. We're gonna take it easy. Yeah, if you're listening, take it easy.
Yeah. Have a good one. Whatever it may be.
Bye bye.
Goodbye. Love you.